You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to The Spectral Zone with host Kaz Rooney.
Good evening everyone and welcome to the Spectral Zone on Parasearch Radio. As always, I'm Kaz Rooney, I'm your host, and tonight I'm being joined by Kelly J. Ellis and Ness Watts from Free Spirit Researchers. Good evening ladies.
Good evening.
How are you both doing?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Right, now what we're talking about tonight is free locations.
Go on then. Let's
Go on then. Go on then.
Do this.
So we all live in different areas. I live in Doncaster. Ness lives in Northamptonshire. Where do you live, Kelly?
I live in Swindon.
Right. Well, we're all in different locations, so let's start with Kelly. We'll pick on Kelly first.
Good idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got free locations round about your area.
Yeah, you've got the normal stuff, you know, your churches, your graveyards. Unfortunately for us around here, off the top of my head, I don't think there is anything abandoned that you can enter into that isn't signposted. However, I have done plenty of investigation in the past when I lived on the Isle of Wight, so that was interesting.
That's right, you used to live on the Isle of Wight, didn't you?
I did. That place was full of abandoned places that you could go into.
Did you go into them?
Well, yeah, because one of them was a mental asylum.
Wow.
So that's Whitecroft Mental Asylum, which is part of it now has been turned into sellable flats. But I must add that I think only 3 people live there at the moment. They're all trying to sell their flat. But there is part of it, of the building that's left. It's kind of in a C shape, as in the letter C.
Okay.
That hasn't been renovated. So they've been in, they've took out some of the flooring, I imagine, because they were going to open it up and build flats again.
Okay.
It was just left. Eventually, things got overgrown, fences fell down. Nobody was there looking after it anymore. It was just left. So it was pretty much what I would class as a free-for-all.
Okay.
So we've been in there many a times. But because it's the Isle of Wight, I mean, it used to be the place where our army and our navy would build lots of forts around it to see the ships that were coming in and whether they were good or bad. So there's plenty of forts on the Isle of Wight that you can get into now, that even now, that absolutely free to go in. There's no problem with going in them. So it's all good. Yeah, I like it on the Isle of Wight. It's good fun.
I mean, the place has got a lot of history.
Oh God, it's full of history. I mean, if you you wouldn't be able to do all the haunted places in a weekend. I reckon you need a good couple of weeks, at least a good couple of weeks. if any of you ever get the chance to go, let me know, hit me up, because I can tell you all the free spots that you can go to. Just take a tent, camp. It's amazing. We're planning to go down there next year, actually, as a team. Spend a long weekend down there and just go around all the free places like Knight and Gorges, Whitecroft, all of that. Good fun. I love it.
This is the thing. Do you think, Kelly, that, I mean, there's lots of locations. There's locations all over the place. I mean, there's locations you probably don't even know about. Yeah. But the free places, shouldn't we be kind of hitting them up and going to them?
Yeah, I think we should make the most of free investigations, to be honest. There's still just as much history there as you would find in a venue that's going to cost you £300 and up. I think it just depends on the investigator and the time of year as well, to be honest. It depends if you want to get cold and wet.
See, I don't mind that. I actually prefer doing investigations in wintertime, autumn time, wintertime.
Yeah. I'm not a fan, really, of of it being too hot. I think the winter for me, it ruins my EVPs when you go out to investigations where it's a free-for-all, abandoned houses. Too much noise for me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So for me, being into my EVPs, it's not great for me. But saying that, I mean, we have caught things in the past. You know, I mean, we could go through the orb debate, I suppose. But, yeah, I mean, we've caught anomalies, shall I say, rather than the word orb. We've caught anomalies that we couldn't debunk. We've heard noises that could not be animal defined or anything like that. Yeah, I just love my EVP, I suppose. So for me, I prefer a nice house with a roof and windows. But that's just me.
Oh. Well, I mean, I quite like the architecture of the really old churches and stuff. So I think that's why I find it quite fascinating.
Yeah. Do you think, though, that you prefer to do it in the winter because it gives it more of that, it's darker nights, so therefore you've got longer, and also there's that creep factor to the fact that there's no leaves on the trees anymore, everything's sparse and bare.
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you think? Yeah, it's probably that, isn't it? Adds to the ambience, I think.
The thing is, it's the history that draws me, to be fair. Yeah. Really old places. I'm fascinated by the architecture and the history, but I'm quite strange about, I don't like knowing too much about the history. So that's a kind of two-edged sword.
You've been extremely busy this week, haven't you? Doing a lot of abandoned places.
We have been all over the place.
You have. I have been watching with bated breath. Never heard of these places that you've been to before. So
really?
Unfortunately, no, never been that far afield, unfortunately. So I have been quite excited to watch what you and Ness have been up to these past 7 days, my love.
What about Ness? Right, you live in Northamptonshire. Now, this all started with Ness.
I mean, this all started with me.
It did all start with you.
Okay.
Well, it did. So, I came to visit Ness. And what's actually happened is we ended up at a church. Tell us about the church.
My grandma told me there was this myth that had been going around for like God knows how many years, that if you run around this church 7 times, the devil himself will appear. And that there's thumbprints that he made on the church. So I dragged Kaz to the church.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be a very wet night, and the church is on a big slope, so it wasn't very safe to go running around it.
It'd been raining quite heavily as well.
Yeah. But we did walk around it to have a look for the handprints, which I'm still not 100% sure we even found them.
Okay. No, we found something, and it kind of looked, it was quite high up, to be fair.
It
but
was like that. It was like 2 fingers and a thumb sort of shape.
Yeah, it was like 2 fingers and a thumb. That's what it kind of looked like. That was the only thing resembling a handprint we could actually find.
So that is probably just a myth.
I believe that was at All Saints Church. Where was it again?
Odell.
Odell, that was it. But it wasn't safe to run around the church because it'd been raining, so we didn't get to do it.
I even tested the floor to see how slippy it was, didn't I, Kaz?
Yeah, you did. You did actually check.
Because I was determined to do it.
She was determined to do it, but this is the thing, Ness. What would have probably happened was Ness would end up in hospital and I would have ended up in hospital trying to help Ness. So it wasn't going to happen. It was just too wet, it was too slippy. And it's kind of strange. It goes kind of up and down. It slopes a bit, if you know what I mean.
And there was a hole in one of the graves, weren't there?
Yeah,
so
we found this great big hole and we thought, oh, if we stand too close to that, it's going to just sink.
Oh,
it looked
God.
like it was the start of a sinkhole, to be fair.
That's not good.
You know, like when we went out on that 3-1 Kelly and we found the hole underneath that grave?
Oh, God, yeah, and
Yeah,
grave.
it's like that.
Freaked me out, that did.
Right, ladies, you've got a question in the chat room from Gradewood. Is asking, why investigate overnight when what makes it better when you have more to debunk? I don't think you do have more to debunk. Great, to be fair.
Well, I'd have to agree, actually. I think the fact that you two visited anyway, it was quite light, wasn't it? When you guys went out, you had some light behind you, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I think, in all fairness, you probably did do some kind of homework and tried to do as much as you could, in all fairness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think if you're going, I like to think that when you're going to go out in the dead of the night and you're going to go to a free location,
Yeah.
I think most people do it because even if they know that it's absolutely okay to be there, the fact that they'll still have that feeling, oh, perhaps we shouldn't be here. Do you know what I mean? So a graveyard is somewhere that you know full well in the back of your mind, I can visit that all day long as I like, and it's okay. But then when you hit the night time, there's this kind of veil that covers you that makes you question whether you should actually be there at night time.
That is very true, actually.
You know what I mean?
We had that not last night, but the night before, didn't we, Kaz? When we went to that graveyard.
Oh,
and
crikey.
it was dark, and it was like there was more humans than there was like anything else that was scaring us.
There was
point where
there was a lot of drunken teenagers. There was
The teenagers.
there was a guy on a bike. There was a drunk guy who didn't kind of look like he knew which way he was heading. He was just kind of staggering about the graveyard, bless him. Then we went to another graveyard and we had the cat. That
and
just
then
wasn't
the
leaving.
guy that lived in the graveyard opened the door and like
We had to ask if it was his cat, which it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was the church's cat, apparently.
Oh.
So we just couldn't get in. The last one we went to,
the gates were locked.
the gates were locked.
Well, that's fair enough, isn't it? I mean, if the gates are locked, common sense says we're not allowed to go in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But even if the gate hadn't been, the fact that man opened the door and you had to ask him whether that was his cat, that veil went right over your face of should we be here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Even though there was no locked gates and people are free to come and go as and when they choose, as long as they've got some etiquette and they're being respectful, apart from obviously that drunk guy, bless him.
This is the thing, where that particular cemetery is located, people kind of use it as a throughway to get from town to the area where I live. It's
Right.
a kind of shortcut for them. So the poor guys probably came out of the pub and staggered through the graveyard to get home. Bless him.
Bless him.
Right, but here's an interesting question for you ladies. And I'm going to ask everyone in the chat room too. So you can put your opinions in the comments. But graveyards, is it being disrespectful going into a graveyard?
No.
No, you don't walk on the actual graves themselves.
Yeah. Is it disrespectful to walk through a graveyard in the morning?
No, but is it disrespectful to go in there investigating?
No, as long as you use your manners and you're polite and respectful and you don't stand on the actual graves and you stay on the footpaths, then why would it be disrespectful?
Some people think it is. I do know some investigators who feel it is disrespectful and we shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, I think it all depends on what you're doing as an investigator when you're in there. So if you're, so if I was to walk into a graveyard during the day, I don't know, to go and visit my nan, I'd be quite interested in reading all the grave headstones. I've got this fascination about reading. It's important to me that I read the gravestones that my family is next to, because I just want to know who else lives there, where their body is now living. So when I'm investigating, and Ness will tell you this, I love nothing more than at night, when you've got a headstone that you can barely read during the day, I love nothing more than putting a torch at an angle and being able to read whose gravestone that is.
Yeah.
So that person has some kind of thought that somebody's actually taking the time to check out whose body is there. So, no, for me personally, I can understand why there are some investigators or people who don't investigate that have that opinion that it is disrespectful. And that's not a wrong opinion to have. If that's what they feel, then, absolutely. If I was the type of investigator that went into a churchyard to move flowers around for a lot, or to go and sit on a grave and taunt the person who lies there, then absolutely that's disrespectful. But if I want to go there because I want to know if a myth or a legend is real, why shouldn't I? If the gates are unlocked, the church has no problem with people being in there. Why should I not go in there?
Well, Gemma's in the chat room, Gemma Lee Drury, and she's saying, no, as long as you're not on the graves being rude, etc., respect all the way. I say hi to the people as I'm walking around. However, she'd never do a Ouija board in a graveyard.
I would never do that. But then I don't particularly like hands on Ouija boards, so I think I've mentioned that in the past. So yeah, I'm with Gemma on that one.
Yeah.
Same here.
Grey Rudd is saying, what is the point of investigating a graveyard because they're not there, they're long gone. It's just an overload.
Yeah, so Gray has an absolutely spot on point, but as Gray knows, we've had many conversations, it's not just about the graveyard, is it? It's about the land. So it could be that the land was a workable land at some point. I mean, it goes back years and years, thousands of years, so it would never have always been a graveyard.
Yeah.
So, some of them have highwayman history to them, So I'm not just there because I'm investigating a graveyard. When I'm in a graveyard, the reason why I'm there is because I'm investigating the land.
Yeah.
I like to stop and have a look at graves, headstones that you can't read during the day, because I think it's important to say hello to everyone I walk past. I like to do that.
Yeah. The thing is, he's saying, can you ask why they would go back to a place of sorrow? But I don't necessarily think it's a place of sorrow.
It's only a place of sorrow for the people who's
leaving someone there. But I think it's actually a place of peace.
And for some people, that's community as well, isn't it? The church is the centre of their community. So there's a lot of joy in that. People find a lot of comfort and joy in that.
Right, ladies, here's a question from Emma Backhouse. Has anyone had any experience with graveyard guardians? Do they exist? Right, my opinion on this is, if you feel that you shouldn't go in, then you shouldn't go in. So I would say, yeah, there is probably guardians.
Well, look
To be
at us
fair,
the other night. We didn't
yeah.
feel that we should have been in there.
No,
and
we
I
felt we
think,
should leave. We thought we
Yeah.
should leave.
So we literally walked away.
Yes.
Well, that's what makes you guys and other teams respectful investigators.
Yeah.
Yeah. So totally agree. If you get that feeling anywhere that you are, not just graveyards, that you shouldn't be there, that you are upsetting the balance between this world and another world, then absolutely leave.
Shirley's in the chat room and she said as well, some of the headstones tell a story and they're beautiful, and it's important to remember, to me, I think, these people had a life. There are people who cared about them. They have a history. They have lived, and I think that's what the headstone represents to me.
Yeah,
They
same.
can be some beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I wish that I had for my father, because unfortunately my father doesn't have a grave.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely, something I've always wanted, somewhere that I can go, somewhere that I can sit, and I think we're not stupid. We know they're not there. Everybody knows they're not there, but a piece of them is there, and that brings some mild comfort to people. And that headstone is just somewhere where you can go, sit, think, talk, contemplate, and some people need that.
Yeah.
And she's right, it's beautiful. The stories are beautiful. The older the headstones, the more beautiful the stories, I think.
That's true. I mean, the cemeteries that I've taken Ness to while she's been in Doncaster past few days,
They were amazing, some of the things that were said on them headstones.
there is a lot of World War II and World War One memorials.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Air Force, Army, Navy headstones, and I think it's important to acknowledge them. For me.
And show them that respect.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you're not being disrespectful by looking at somebody's headstone, are you? So I totally agree, ladies, and I commend you, I do, because I can just imagine you two now stopping to read and taking comfort in some of those readings.
There was a few ones that were really upsetting. Usually they were children.
Yeah.
But I think I commented on one of the live feeds that we did that looking then back to, I mean, you're going back to the 1800s, how short people's lifespans were. And it was like the father died at 35 years old, the mother died at 33 years old, and the babies died at 3 months, 1 month, 2 years old. Their lifespans were really, really short in comparison to now.
Yeah.
That's really sad to me.
It is sad. And it's, going back to the point that one of the posters sorry, that's my coffee machine, it's so loud.
Yeah.
Going back to the comment that you just read from one of the posters, sorry, I can't quite recall the name. She's absolutely right. They are beautiful, and they should be remembered. They were alive.
Well, there's a lady in the chat room, Tina Line, and she's saying there's a cemetery in Bristol that do tours on an evening. She's been on one that was really interesting, but they don't allow investigations.
Hey, Tina.
Hi, Tina.
We've got quite a busy chat room tonight.
I mean,
Tina, we'll have to all come down and have a look at that one, babe.
Yeah. We'll go on a tour. Just for history reasons, it'd be nice to go on that. So, I mean, that's nice, isn't it? You've got somebody who'll walk you around because they're giving you a history tour. So that goes back to my point that it's not just about the graveyard, it's about the land that you're on and what that land represented before the church was there, before the graves were there.
Yeah. My cousin Shirley's in the chat room. She's saying, remember Kaz in Port Glasgow Cemetery, the small angel? There was a memorial and it's an angel, and people used to say the angel moved at night. As kids it would scare us, but now it wouldn't. But as kids it would scare us. But I do remember that, Shirley, yeah, I do. It's a kind of weird situation. I mean, I suppose as an investigator you have to make that judgment call yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Basically. I mean, there's plenty of myths and legends that go about anywhere, isn't there? But I mean, even for me to recall something that somebody used to say about the graveyard in Newbury, which
Yeah.
is just on the Shore House, which evidently now actually allow you to investigate.
Yeah.
It always said there was a white rabbit that was seen in the graveyard, and when you saw the white rabbit, it represented luck. The amount of people that used to just go down there to try and see if they could see this white rabbit.
Oh, bless.
So yeah, these myths and legends pop up all the time, don't they? So I mean, we've all got a story about something, and 9 times out of 10, we've all got a graveyard story.
There is one, I believe it's also in Doncaster, it's called St Lawrence's. Now, I remember I told Ness about this, but didn't get a chance to go. They actually have a plaque of people who all died from a cholera outbreak.
Ah, okay.
But there's also a grave there that has like an eye on it, and people call it the devil's eye. And they say if you spit on the eye and you run around the church 3 times, the devil will come and get you. Yet again, it's another urban legend. But I guarantee you there's people who will try that. People will try that.
Oh my God, yeah. That's a bit sort of, weird, that one. I don't think I'd be spitting on people's graves and running around the church to see if something would appear.
But that's the thing, I mean, I know, I'm still on graveyards, I know. I know graveyards are places of peace, but there are spirits that aren't at peace sometimes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think, right, you've got priests that, diocese, etc., that would have loved that church, and their whole heart and soul would have gone into that church. Who's to say that, they haven't passed and they're still there?
Yeah.
Tending the church, tending their flock, tending the grave.
Well,
So,
Andrew Thompson has said, we're planning a visit to Barnes Cemetery in London purely for the past history of a murder that happened in the area. But people do go investigating because of that history as well.
oh, absolutely.
There's sinister history as well as loving history in graveyards. Unfortunately, that's the reality of it. Not everyone passes peacefully.
No, they don't.
But we've had this week we went to Ness, the doctor's house.
Oh, wow.
That was an obstacle course.
That was funny trying to get in there and trying to get back out.
The thing is,
you have to literally climb through a fence, over a car,
we had
then
to stand
over
on the
a
car's
road
engine.
rambles.
Yeah. And there's barbed wire the whole way through that. There is.
And then you have to jump off like a massive log that's like raised up, innit?
Yes.
And then you can finally get in.
To give you a bit of history about the doctor's house, what's basically happened is the doctor, I won't mention his name, but he authorised the release of a lady called Carol Barrett from psychiatric care in 1991, even though she threatened a young girl with a knife and she tried to strangle a medic. He released her to her mother's care, and she was 24 years old at the time, and she has walked into what is French Gate Shopping Centre. It was still there then. And she randomly stabbed 11-year-old Emma Brodie to death in the shopping centre 2 days after she was released. So the doctor has basically, I don't know if it became known that that was his house, but he basically upped and left everything in the house. There was 5 cars in there, swimming pool. We were walking around it and I was picking up letters, personal letters of his. Yeah, we found the swimming pool, we found his personal letters. Literally, the house has been left the way it was. This all happened in April 1991.
Wow.
And nobody has bought that house, and they have tried to sell it, but nobody's bought that house.
I stood on the edge of the swimming pool.
Yeah, I wasn't doing that.
No, you stayed quite far away from the edge.
Just to be safe.
So is that one a free-for-all venue then? So can everybody or anybody go in there?
Basically, you can go in there, but do not go there at night.
No.
It is not safe. It is
Right.
not safe. We stayed
left
downstairs.
before it came out. Just before, as it was getting dark, we ended up leaving because otherwise we probably wouldn't have even got out.
Right.
Yeah. Andrew Thompson is saying we think he was forced out due to that incident. So I think that's what's probably happened. He's probably had to leave the house because people were up in arms about what had happened. Obviously to the child. She was only a child. But then we've also went to the suicide farm. Now, I've got to give a shout out to Finders Beepers History Seekers, who very, very kindly, and I'm going to have them on a show soon, I promise. They've promised. Just saying that, you have promised, because I know one of them's listening.
Well, she will.
But the suicide farm in Conisborough. Now, the story with that is there's two different stories going about. There's one going about that the man murdered his wife and then hanged himself. And then there's another one just that the man hanged himself. I've tried to research this and it's not easy to get the information. I have tried. But the guys from Finders Beepers History Seekers, they have literally... I messaged them yesterday morning and bless them, they sent me a map and everything.
Oh.
It's not the easiest place to get to. It's very isolated, so you can only go so far up. You need to park your car and then you've got quite a hike in front of you.
It's a good few miles. Where it felt like it anyway.
It felt like a good few miles.
So why do you think it's hard to get hold of the information for that place? Is it just it goes too far back?
No, I don't. Well, this is the thing. I mean, the farmhouse is... Well, I could literally picture it the way it would have been. Mm-hmm. Now, in the state it's in, it is so unsafe to go up there. To be honest, it is very unsafe to go up there. But I just felt extremely sad when I went there.
So,
I don't know what Ness was feeling, but I felt extremely sad.
there was one part in it where I actually felt tears in my eyes and had to leave one of the barns because I got that emotional.
I'd be interested to see if anybody then who's listening can help you find some information about it.
Yeah.
That would be quite interesting to know.
But is it a good thing for paranormal investigators to go to these types of places?
It is, but we've just got to be so careful because some of these places can be really, really dangerous. Like we found out, Kaz, you know, getting into the doctor's house, that was just...
Once we got in, we were really jubilant, and we actually called Kerry Greenaway and said to her, do we do this? Do we not do this? What do you think? She went, yeah, we go for it. So literally we kept her on the phone in case anything happened.
As well.
Yeah. And it was really, when we got in, it was really, we were really jubilant about it. And then once we got down all of that, I mean, it is a bit of a climb. It is a bit of a dangerous climb.
You have to help each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you get it down, we were like, yay, we're in. And then we thought, oh God, what if we can't get back out?
That's why it's probably really important that you go recce it during the day to make that decision, isn't it?
Couldn't get in there at a night time.
So it was
you would end up
in A&E straight out.
Yeah, well, that's why you recce it during the day to see if it's actually a safe place to go to once the sun's gone down, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, because had you have gone there in the middle of the night and pushed forward, who knows what could have happened?
Exactly.
And I think when you're talking about abandoned buildings, it's always best to recce them because you actually don't know who's living in them. So you can have a homeless person could be using it as somewhere to shelter.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have a fox den in it, or you just got to be really, really careful and kind of know what it is you're doing before you get there, I suppose, and what the goal and the intent is.
Well, the suicide farm, one thing I do have to say about that, there is a lot of asbestos.
Yeah.
It literally is just lying around.
I think that's quite important that you brought that up, actually, because I don't think a lot of investigators think about that when they go to these kind of buildings.
Well, that's the thing, Kelly. Do you feel that... Well, you will feel, I mean, we all do feel, you have got to take safety into account. It's all very well wanting to investigate a location and find out the history, but not put yourself at risk.
Absolutely. I mean, we went, do you remember, Ness? Did you come with us when we went up to Bridgewater and we went into the airfield?
No, I missed that one.
Right, so we went in there and there were some outbuildings that we could go into. Of course, it's the dead of night, you can't see anything, to be fair. We walked into one of these tiny little brick-built huts that they would have used for spotting, and I immediately put my torch up, and I just knew that was asbestos ceiling, and I had no breathing apparatus on me to keep me from breathing in any dust, and I refused to go in for the rest of the evening. You should not risk your health at all, and go back another day when you'll be better prepared. Get a dust mask, get whatever it takes to keep yourself safe.
This is the thing, I mean, it's all very well, you've got to take into consideration the age of the place that you're actually going.
Yeah.
You've got to take into consideration the people who live around it.
Yeah, exactly.
As well, because you don't want to go disturbing people. It's all very well you want to go and investigate it, but you can't be running around disturbing everyone.
No, absolutely not. Totally agree with you. Absolutely not. I think that's probably where some people think things like going into graveyards, abandoned houses in a built-up populated area is disrespectful because it's disturbing their peace. Because you might have people that live across the road from the graveyard that don't actually want to have lights and torches shining in their eyes and people shouting amongst themselves in a graveyard, let alone an abandoned house. So yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, we have seen a spate recently of lots of teams just going to abandoned places.
Yeah.
So is this becoming a new thing, do we think?
No, I think it's been going on for ages, in all honesty. I just think you get those new teams that haven't quite got enough numbers to afford to go into these venues that are £300 and up, and think that going into abandoned places is their best bet. But, new team, not really got a clue really on what they're doing. So, yeah, I think it's been going on for ages. I really do. And
well, here's a question for you ladies.
Yeah.
Do you feel, I mean, with these abandoned places that we can go to and local places we can go to, I mean, it's very easy to have an EVP recorder in your pocket.
Oh, absolutely.
And whisper questions. And I mean, if you're in a quiet spot, you could do loads of questions if it's a really historical building. Do we feel that it's something we should be doing? It's something that we should be doing. I mean, the prices of locations can be crazy. We know that. I think the most expensive one I've had is £2,000.
Oh my God, no, absolutely not.
Well,
I wouldn't pay it, but that's what they quoted me.
No, we've had the same, and I told them no, we won't go to that one.
Yeah, no.
But the free ones, they're good, like abandoned places, because of the fact they're free. They are good, especially if, like, say, for instance, our team have had a month off of invos this month.
Yeah.
So it's just been good to still be able to go out and do what I love to do you know, and still have that little bit of investigating going on. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the chat room are basically agreeing with us. They're saying that you do have to be respectful of everything. You do have to consider everything, your safety, the people around it. And as Kelly said, homeless people, which we came across last night, we didn't go down to that area, but there were homeless people living in that cemetery at a very kind of isolated corner. But they tents up and they're washing up and whatever, and we didn't go anywhere near them. We just left them alone. But you have to consider all these things.
No, I agree with you. You know, at the end of the day, if you've got a homeless person living in an abandoned house, you should just leave them to it. I mean, at the end of the day, you're now encroaching in their private space, aren't you? So leave them alone. Come back another time when they've decided to move on or whatever. Yeah, I agree. Just leave them be. But if it's a free place anyway, it's not going anywhere.
That is very true.
Exactly.
So Ness, we've spent the past 6 days together. Ness only went home today.
Yeah, that's why I'm so tired.
But
on me now.
What's your take on the free locations? Did you enjoy them as much as you would enjoy a location you paid for?
Yeah, I did. You know, I mean, especially the hanging woods that we went to. That was quite entertaining, trying to find the way out after when it started getting dark. But and then you saying, "Is this the right direction?" And I was like, "No, it's that way," and you're like, "No, it's this way." That was just comical.
It was kind of like the Blair Witch Project Donnie style. That was kind of what it was like. So
100%.
We kind of got completely lost in this wood. We're like, how do we get out?
It was just so funny because we'd got deeper and deeper into this forest.
Yeah, I think I was only witch
we
there,
were
to be
going to carry
fair.
on. I even dragged Kaz up this like kind of massive hill.
Oh, poor Kaz.
He was all right.
And
then when we got there, we heard voices. So me and Kaz sort of like grabbed out of each other and sort of slowly but fast went back down the hill.
My God. Women, seriously.
Yeah, but we couldn't find out where they were coming from. The hanging woods, by the way, in Doncaster, that is where highwaymen used to hide out from the law. So that's why. It was a good hiding place, but the EVPs. This is the thing when you're doing you're at an outside location. I know definitely Grey Rudd will agree with me on this. You've got so much contamination when you're trying to do EVPs and when you're trying to get information. It's not always easy.
Same as any footstep you make, it just goes crunch because of all the leaves and everything underneath you. And then you're constantly having to go, that's just such and such walking.
Yeah.
Which is what we were doing when we were doing an EVP session. We'd heard some noise. We'd heard some noises, and I went to go and have a look to see if I could see anyone. And Kaz said to the EVP, that's just Ness walking, because she's going to investigate.
Yeah, because...
And then Kaz said it could have been a mouse, and then I went running back to her.
Apparently Ness doesn't like mice or spiders.
She doesn't like
Grey Rudd has said, why pay to go into these reputed places, haunted places, when spirit have free will to move about where they won't be? So how can you lock spirit into a building?
Yeah, this is true.
This is the thing, though. I mean, I don't think Grey's locking them into the building. I think they have an attachment to the building.
Yeah.
There's a difference. I think certain spirits are attached to certain places.
Yeah.
That's my take on it, anyway.
Yeah, well, they've been brought in by a certain object.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the Haunted Antiques Museum. Was that haunted? Was that a haunted building before all the objects went into it? Who knows?
No one knows.
This is it.
This is the thing. So if you went to a free place, like we went to the doctor's house, it would have been so easy. There was letters lying about. There was food and wine magazines. There was lots of tech information and journals and things like that lying about. It would have been so easy for any of us to pick something up and take it with us, should it be left there.
Yes.
Got that in unison then?
No, absolutely. Shouldn't be taking
100%.
anything, to be honest.
100% it needs to be left where it's found.
Yeah, don't take nothing. Not unless it's one of those rocks that people have been painting these days, and then you have to take it, because then you have to go and put it somewhere else.
Yes, there is a little phase of that going about, people painting rocks.
Yeah, I'm going to hide one in a haunted location. I've got one actually on the table, ready, and I'm going to take that to Fort Redoubt, and I am going to place it in Fort Redoubt on September the 8th. And I can't wait to see if anybody who visits there finds this rock and then it gets moved to another location. It'd be interesting.
Well, Shirley has said people leave imprints on places.
Yeah. No, well, yeah, absolutely.
And they're talking about, in the chat room, the suicide forest in Japan. I
Oh,
wouldn't
God.
go there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Oh,
go
I
there.
would. I would.
I would.
Yeah,
No.
absolutely. Stick to the path, though, because I've been watching that
That
travel.
film.
I can't remember what it's called, Kaz. You've been watching it as well. He went there to that suicide forest.
Or Dark
Oh, yeah, Dark Tourist.
Tourist, that's it.
Yeah, I absolutely would, but I would listen to that Sherpa man and I would only stick to the path.
Don't leave the path.
I'm only sticking to the path because I've heard from Dark Tourist and from what I've read about it, you don't want to leave the path because you'll die, and I don't want to die.
But then again, looking at me when we went to the Hanging Woods, we were going to stick to the path, weren't we, Kaz? And what way did I choose to go?
We ended up all over the place, Ness.
So I guarantee I'd do the same in there.
And what path? There were
Be doing
several
it.
paths. There were several paths, to be fair.
I'll take it.
Oh, God. Good time. See, there are loads of places that you could go to that are quite interesting if you think about it and aren't going to cost you any money. And going back to Gray's question a minute ago about they're not stuck in the house.
Yeah.
They can leave. Yeah, they can leave, but the whole point is they don't. They choose to stay in that house.
Yeah.
So you have to pay that money in order to have that experience. What depends on the night, I suppose. But that's our job, isn't it?
It is our job.
That's what I mean. It's our job. It's our job to say whether we think somewhere lives up to its reputation or not. Really, I suppose.
Well, we could start a list with that one.
Oh, God, yeah, absolutely. But I would, if people want like a good weekend away, where they only got to pay for either booking a hotel or whether you want to jump on a ferry, because that's the only way to get there. If you want free locations, I would absolutely say all investigators need to hop onto an Isle of Wight ferry, and they need to get across to the Isle of Wight, because you just find so many places that you can investigate. There's castle ruins. You can walk the entirety of the Isle of Wight Zoo on the outside, and all of that was a military wall.
Yeah.
So you can. It's just amazing place, full of history, and everywhere that you go, that I could tell you where to go, 100%, you will encounter spirit activity when you're there. It's inevitable.
What do you think, ladies? Should we start a group, a free locations group, and just get people to post up all the free locations in the areas?
I like that idea.
And everyone can go.
I like that idea.
Yeah, and again, we should all be sharing information, shouldn't we? At the end of the day, it's not one person's location. I found an abandoned house. Somebody is going to find it at some point, so we might as well just share information, and then we're going to get more experiences and have a better experience share at the end of the day. Go for it. Just, I can't say it enough. I've been doing it for now 14 years. Just share, because that's the only way we're all going to get along. Just share. I mean, we're quite lucky. We have got a few things booked for next year, but things are getting incredibly expensive. Deposits aren't cheap.
No.
We've literally had to go to big events companies and say, look, if we book with you, can we, as a group, stay as a group, go off and do our own thing without interfering in your public event? And do you know what? I have to say, everyone we've contacted has been really accommodating.
Yeah.
And it's costing us less now as a group to do this.
That's true, but I mean...
We've got one coming up, haven't we, Carol, like that?
Shepton Mallet, yeah.
Thing is, I think the way the field is at the moment, people should be making the most of the free locations they have around them.
Yep.
They really should, because you've got history all around you. Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales, they're all full of history. They've got ruins. You can go umpteen places.
I guess it is about that sharing and not just saying this house is abandoned in this village or this cemetery is great. Mm-hmm. Who don't live there, like for myself, coming up to Doncaster, wouldn't have a clue where I'm supposed to go. Well, does that make sense? So yeah. I would not have a clue. I can drive the team up to Doncaster, drop them off. We would not have a clue where we were supposed to be going.
Well, that's why I think we should be making a database for everybody to share the free locations.
Yeah.
Because we all travel. We all travel for investigations.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it's a good idea. But you will find, because we've tried to do this, have we not? I've set up a group.
That's true.
Nobody wants to share. It's literally me telling everybody where to go and how much it costs to go there.
Yeah.
Nobody else wants to share what they know and what they've got. So it will never work until people realise para-unity means sharing.
Sharing is caring.
That's my motto. I love that motto.
Get them told, ladies.
Well, if we all, let's say 3 teams teamed up. Yeah. A £2,000 venue is not now completely reachable.
I know.
Is it not? But nobody wants to share. Nobody wants to share. But they'll all sit down and go, I wish I could afford to go to this £2,000 place.
Andrew Thompson is saying in the chat room, have you been to RAF Dryfield? Another free and easy place to get into. No, I haven't actually. But I'm going to look it up now. Thank you, Andrew.
Where is it? We'll go.
See, Andrew's sharing.
I know that there's an abbey in Oxfordshire somewhere. And it's massive, and it runs along a little river-type stream thing, and it is humongous, and it's absolutely free to enter and get in, but I can't for the life of me remember where the bloody thing is, but I will try my best to find out where it is.
And we'll go.
It's huge. You can spend all evening there, and you'll see shadows and... got highwaymen stories to it, and
that's it. I'm getting in the car. I'm going now.
Drowning in the lake, a woman and her children. Story about that. There's just loads. I'll try and find out because obviously Oxfordshire's just up the road.
Yeah.
I think Claire will probably know actually because Claire lives in that area. What do you think? Like
Gray has said, "Why pay £2,000 when you can do things at home?" That is so true, and I have done things at home, Gray, and I've done them live as well.
I have a child that wouldn't like it if I started doing things in this house.
I wouldn't want to do stuff in my house either. I'm quite happy to go to other people's houses and do stuff, but nothing's being done in my house. Thank you very much.
Nah, we're all used to it now. The kids just say to me, "This house is haunted," and it's all your fault. That's simple.
I'm doing EVPs in my house, which Kaz knows. EVPs, yep, that's fine. But I wouldn't get like a spirit, like not a spirit box, because we've done that as well. But like a table tipping session going, I wouldn't do any of that in the house, not when Reese is in here.
So is there anybody in your chat room, Kaz, that would enter a building that clearly states stay out?
No. You have to
No.
be respectful, I don't think. Nobody would do that. I mean, if it says it's a private footpath, stay off it. You shouldn't be on it. If it says that no trespassers, don't go in it. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. The rules are in place for a reason. I think as long as you have etiquette, so that you're respectful, you have some knowledge of the area that you're about to visit helps. And I think as long as you stay within the law, I really don't see what the problem is. I really don't.
For forest example, you should have a forest licence. Just saying.
Ah.
Did you know that one?
No.
I didn't either until Paul Rook told me.
So if I wanted to go into a forest, I've got to have a forest licence.
If you were going to camp in there overnight and do investigation.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Andrew has said that part of that location, RAF Drive, was still in use, but you had to go round the back to get to the abandoned bit.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah.
We'll use that. Shirley has said, still think Came Wedding in Essex is worth investigating. Don't know where that is.
I haven't heard of that. We're not far from Essex for our holiday nest. Perhaps we should go look it up.
I was just about to say, because weren't we going to do a night while we were away doing an invo, so we can always go and find that.
Well, I will send you that and you can look it up and see if you can find it.
Okay.
And
Thank
let us
you.
all
Thank
know
you,
how
Charlie.
Right, ladies, final question.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone invited you into the house to do an investigation because we're having issues or whatever, that is classed under free locations, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Not necessarily something you would share, but it is something teams do. Teams do go into people's homes to try and help them.
Yeah.
Yep.
You won't share it if you've got permission from the owner that you can share.
Yeah.
I would say confidentiality all the way on that one.
Yeah.
I know there's this big debate about charging, but I personally I wouldn't charge. I don't think it's right to charge people.
No, there's lots of different locations that are free. Are free. I think the only way you can get away with charging for free locations is if a team are doing it for charity and they are putting their own time, effort, travelling, paying for hotels, whatever, into it, then yes. I think you can.
Oh, absolutely. If you're going to lay on a 3-course dinner at the pub down the road and then perhaps the bed, absolutely these people need to charge. It's their bread and butter. But if you're just going to drag them up a public footpath for an hour and a half, I just think that's ludicrous.
Oh, Shirley's saying it's a home of witches.
Oh,
the one
cool.
in Essex.
That's up your street then.
Look that up then.
That's right up my street, isn't it?
Absolutely. That sounds like a good one for you.
Oh, definitely. I'll go there. I'm saying that in Kerry Greenaway, who lives in Essex, is sitting looking it up right now and going, oh, I'll go there. So, ladies, we've been talking away for an hour. So, what do we say? Yes or no? Free locations worth it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think if that's what you're into, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, all it remains for us to say, everyone, is please remember you can follow us on YouTube. You can find Parasearch on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on SoundCloud. You can find us on Podbean. We have a brand new website, which is parasearch.org. Go on there, you can find out about all the presenters, you can find blogs. There's everything on there. But thank you all for listening tonight and joining in with the discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, ladies, say goodnight.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.